Hey everyone, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Pokemon Heart Gold with only one Eevee was a fun solo run. Let's follow that up with a team run that I've never done before. Today's the day that we figure out would I be able to beat Pokemon Emerald with a team of only Dark-type Pokemon. Yeah, believe it or not, but I've never done a Dark-type run before, at least in these Pokemon challenges. This seems like the game to do it in. We can get a full team of 6 Pokemon, we can catch 2 of them before the first gym so we get variety right from the start, and our type coverage really isn't too bad. This should be a fun one. Like always, I'm writing this script as I go through with the challenge, so all this part is being written before I've started. Everyone comment down below and guess if I can win or not. I'm confident that I can win, but that Steven Stone fight at the end might be pretty hard. I'm excited to see what level the team will need to be before I can win that one. Let's explain the rules. In combat, I can only use Dark-type Pokemon. I'll need other Pokemon to use HMs, but I won't be allowed to use any of those Pokemon in battle. No glitches or exploits, no items in battle, only Pokeballs, held items, and items outside of combat are allowed. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's do this. So right off the bat, I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Treecko with Poochyena, although I guess there's really not much of a need since you can catch one in the wild right away anyway. In fact, I think I'm just gonna catch a bunch of them and then pick whatever one seems to have the best stats, then go forward with that. I mean, when it's a Pokemon you find on the first route, why not, right? Even after catching 7 of them though, the one I started with was the best one. It's not amazing, it doesn't have an attack nature, but it still had the highest starting attack stat of any of the ones that I caught, so I'm gonna stick with it. After that, I do the in-game trade of Ralts to get C-Dot. I could catch one in the wild, but it's a 1% encounter rate, so I figured I should just trade for it. This one has a defense up and speed down nature that I don't mind, and the extra experience that it gets from being traded is gonna be good. This is just a solo grass type, but once it evolves at level 14, it becomes part dark. I'm just gonna switch train until then. It's not like it's great at attacking on its own yet anyway. Now weirdly enough, it doesn't learn any grass moves by level up, but thankfully I can get the TM for Bullet Seed before the first gym. It's not a very strong move in this game, but it will at least give us a much easier time against the Rock Gym. Although, I think I'm gonna have to grind before I can win that fight. It's a pretty notoriously hard fight. Hey, by the way, this challenge was picked by you guys on a Patreon poll, so thanks for that. If you want to get cool perks like seeing these videos early, then check out my YouTube members page and my Patreon. Now, for as much as you might assume the Rock Gym is easy when we have a grass type, it actually did take a few tries. You see, since we haven't gotten the first badge yet, and our Nuzleaf was a traded Pokemon, often it just doesn't want to obey us. Bullet Seed took out the Geodudes just fine, but it took a few tries before he would actually use it. Once we got to Nose Pass though, I knew it would be easy. I just had Poochyena use 6 sand attacks and then spam Bite. I thought that I'd probably faint at some point and have Nuzleaf finish it, but it actually went down to Bite eventually. Not too bad. With the Rock Gym over, we go ahead and catch our next Pokemon, Sableye, who thankfully is a great Pokemon for the upcoming fighting gym. It's also the only Pokemon in this game that has no weakness because of the Dark and Ghost combo, so it's pretty useful. They're kinda hard to catch because they break out of Pokeballs easily, but after catching 5, this was the best one. It just has overall pretty good stats. Alright, well, once I got to the fighting gym, we pretty easily won thanks to them not being able to hit Sableye. Isn't it nice that there's a Ghost and Dark Pokemon? Because otherwise, it probably would be a really hard gym. Let's go do that rival fight. First up is our Wingull, but of course, it's pretty weak, so we took it out quickly with a few Nightshades from Sableye. Second is her Kabuskin, so I kept Sableye in, knowing that it would double kick and make pretty short work of the rest of our team. It went great though. She did a bit of damage with Ember, but we still took her out pretty fast. Last is Lombre, and I tried sending in Poochyena to try and get more experience to evolve it, but it was just too weak and we ended up hardly doing any damage before we fainted. Thankfully, Sableye was able to pretty easily finish it off, so we weren't anywhere close to actually losing the fight. If we didn't have a Sableye though, we never would have made it past Kabuskin at this level. Alright, so we have the already hard Electric Gym coming up, and I'm not really sure how it's gonna go. We don't have any particularly great Pokemon for fighting Steel types, so that Magneton is probably gonna be an issue, and I have to assume that we're gonna get paralyzed quite a bit in the fight. That said, I don't think it's gonna be too horrible. We may not be getting any new Pokemon until after the Fire Gym, though, so we have to rely on what we've got. I could get the HM for Rock Smash to maybe help against Magneton, but it's such a weak move in this game that I doubt it's worth it. I'm gonna fight every trainer in this area, and then just see what happens at the electric gym. Hey, fun fact, did you guys know that I originally did a full Let's Play of Pokemon Ruby using only Dark-type Pokemon with my friends before this? It had to have legit been about 13 to 14 years ago at this point on a little collab channel called The Walkthrough Corner. It's inactive nowadays and has been for like a decade, but that's how I met a bunch of my longest standing friends from the Let's Play scene, like What a Geek. You might know What a Geek from the randomizers in the description of all these challenge videos. You might know him from Pokemon Stadium, you might know him from Pokemon Blue Rescue Team, all on this channel, or the Let's Play we're doing right now of Pokemon Ultra Moon, my first time playing it. And yes, I have been doing weird Pokemon runs that long. Actually, a little bit longer, considering I did both Pokemon Gold with only normal types before that, and Pokemon Blue with only poison types before that as well. I've been doing videos playing Pokemon games in weird ways since before some of the audience was born, and that's insane to me. If I remember right, when I did Pokemon Blue with only poison-type Pokemon, that was 15 years ago. It wasn't in the modern format of challenge videos or whatever, but I mean, it was a Pokemon challenge. So after fighting everything in the area and grinding Mightyena up until it's faster than Voltorb, I took some tries. Right away, we bit down Voltorb in 2 hits, and thanks to a flinch, we didn't get hit. And second is Electrike, so we hit Fake Out, then Nightshade to take it out fast. Third is Magneton, so obviously I use Nightshade to get around it being Steel-type. We get paralyzed right away though, then crit by Shockwave. Our second Nightshade doesn't make it faint, but we hit 2 more, and with the second one going first thanks to a Quick Claw, we actually knocked it out without getting hit again. The problem is, the Manectric that comes out last is actually really powerful. He's got a Citrus Berry to heal back up with, and Watson still has a Super Potion. Dots tried his best, but could hardly hurt him. Mightyena did more damage, but still didn't do all that well overall. And when I sent in our paralyzed Sableye at the end, we were fully paralyzed on the turn that we would have gotten the knockout. If we didn't get crit against Magneton, I think we actually would have won this fight. I'm gonna keep trying. So I tried the fight again, literally did not take a single point of damage going to the Manectric fight on any of our team, and we still lost pretty badly because Sableye goes down in 3 hits, and he's got 2 Super Potions and a Berry. I think I actually do have to level up more for this fight. Even a few points of damage on Nightshade would help a ton by making Magneton go down faster. Although, I guess that would make it so Manectric gets to use both of the Super Potions instead of just one. I still think that leveling up is going to take some of the randomness of the fight down, so I'm going to do that. So after getting several more levels on Sableye, the Magneton is a 2-shot with Nightshade. Obviously, Manectric is still very luck-based, but we have Swagger now on Mightyena. Sableye may have fainted, but a very well-timed Swagger and Bite just managed to hardly get him to go from enough health to not use a Super Potion to fainting in 1 turn. Still, this took several tries. Alright, we're on the road and there's only 2 major battles between us and getting our 4th Pokemon. There's 2 fire trainers in our way. Team Megama's Maxie and the fire gym leader Flannery. That Maxie fight usually isn't anything too dangerous, but Flannery can be. That Torkoal at the end who spams Overheat can be a nightmare, and we don't really have any great moves for it. Plus, Dots is obviously weak to fire, so it's not going to help much. I guess I'm going to get the Dig TM and give it to Mightyena and just hope for the best. Alright, well the Maxie fight was easy as I thought it would be. Sableye made some really short work of both Mightyena and Zubat, and his Camerupt at the end went down to some digs pretty easily. I'm pretty 50-50 on how this Fire Gym is gonna go though. Fire Gym time. First is Numel, who's a 1-shot with Dig, and second is Slugma, who's obviously a 1-shot with Dig. Third is Camerupt, who goes down in 2 hits, but it uses Sunny Day, so I'm a bit worried about how strong Overheat's gonna be when Torkoal comes out, so I decided to buy as much time as I can. First, I have Dots tag in to use Fake Out to flinch him, before we fainted the next turn, then I sent in Sableye to do the same. Thing is, 2 Nightshades did exactly enough damage to make her faint after that. I really wasn't expecting that at all. I thought I was just softening her up for Dig to finish it, but hey, I'll take the early win. Alright, now that we can go to the desert, I went ahead and catch Cacnea. Just one this time since it's got a crazy low encounter rate and took me forever to find this one, but a defense down and special defense up nature seems fine anyway. This is actually going to be a pretty solid Pokemon once it levels up, so I'm excited to use it. It's a solo grass type until it levels though, so I'm just going to give it an experience share until it evolves. Hey, by the way, you know how you guys have been asking me to do Gen 7 for like 6 years now? Well, guess what? I am. I talked about it just a little earlier, but right now on this very channel, you can watch Pokemon Ultra Moon: A Journey. It's a full Let's Play series where I get a few of my friends together and we do my first full playthrough of Gen 7. I've already done the first couple play sessions, and it has been non-stop goofy shenanigans. If you've seen stuff like Pokemon Platinum: A Journey, Pokemon X: A Journey, or my Let's Plays of Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, then you know exactly what to expect. And once I've beaten the game, I'm gonna start doing challenges in Gen 7. It's gonna be a fun time. Now I've got a normal gym to go do. But on our way there, I took the root fossil. I knew that if I didn't say what I took, you'd all ask. Actually, now that I think about it, everyone asks anyway. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Alright, right away at the normal gym, I have to switch around a little because Spinda was confusing us with Teeter Dance, but Mightyena easily overpowered it. Second is Slacking, so I switched around to hit Fake Out, but then I quickly remembered that I have Dig on Mightyena, so I just dig when he was attacking and then hit him on the turns where he wasn't. It took forever, but there was nothing he could do to fight back, so we took him out eventually. Vigoroth is third, and I kept switching between Dots and Sableye for Fake Out, but he was smart and kept using Encore, so he'd have to switch again if we wanted to fight back. Once I sent in Mightyena though, we took almost no damage and easily took him out. Last is Lanoon, but he did what he usually does. He used his Belly Drum to take out most of his own health, and then we finished him off with Feint Attack on the same turn. Easy first try. Hey, it's time to catch our last two Pokemon. First, I go fishing for a while to catch Carvanha. I love this Pokemon and its evolution so much. It's a piranha that becomes a shark torpedo. It's such a fun idea for a Pokemon. The first two that I caught were both calm-natured for less attack, and the third one was only level 10. So I stuck with this fourth one that has more speed and less special defense. Now we just need to go do a rival fight real quick before we can catch our last Pokemon, but we all know this is gonna be like a 2-minute fight that we win on the first try, so let's breeze through that. Yeah, as expected, the rival couldn't do anything. By the way, I didn't stream this fight, it just kinda looks like I did. I was doing one of my Nuzlocke streams between the previous bit of footage and this one, and I had just forgotten to change the layout for my streaming scene collection back to the recording one, so it looked like this. Doing my first ever Nuzlocke on the show right now, by the way. Been having a lot of fun with that. I've already got a bunch of play sessions of that up on this very YouTube channel. Those are in the video section, not the live section, just so you know. I hope you enjoy them. People have been having a lot of fun brutally backseat gaming me. That's Pokemon players for you. Alright, now we walk past the town and catch ourselves Absol, our last Pokemon. This is a really good one too. Our nature is brave for more attack and less speed. I'm not really thrilled about less speed, but we're already reasonably fast, so I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue, and attack up is amazing. Now, Absol's level up moveset isn't very good in this game, but what matters is that we're going to learn Swords Dance in one level, and that's going to make our physical moves fantastic. So I'm probably going to have to just pile on a few good physical TMs, and then use it as a sweeper. Alright, this flying gym was crazy. Right away, Swablu uses Perish Song, then a Hyper Potion to hold on for ages against Sableye, so we both ended up having to switch out on the last turn to Mightyena and Tropius. It was a really weird matchup because he started by using Solar Beam for decent damage, and then he healed a bit with Synthesis, used Sunny Day, and then stopped using any of his moves that got powered up by Sunny Day. He could have just healed more or spammed Solar Beam, but instead he used Aerial Ace, so we took him out. Swablu came back in, so I just had Sableye take it out, and then next is Pelipper, so I had Mightyena spam Bite. Thanks to a crit, it went down pretty fast. Second from last is Skarmory, so I had Sableye use Fake Out, then spam Nightshade knowing it was our best move for the matchup. She held on for ages thanks to a healing item, but we took her out with a little bit of health left. The problem is last is Altaria, and we don't have much health left on our only Pokemon that stands a chance, and our moves really aren't doing much damage at all. She used Dragon Dance a couple times and then swept our team with Earthquake. We got so close to fainting, but it just didn't happen. I'm gonna have to grind up some lower level members of the team, then we could absolutely win this. This actually ended up being way easier than before, mostly because we have a Sharpedo now, who's really fast and hits pretty hard. Simply having Sharpedo soften up the Altaria so that Mightyena could come in and finish it off worked great. Easy fight. Alright, well, we've got our full team, but some of our team just isn't that strong yet, so I'm not exactly expecting smooth sailing. We have Maxie in the Psychic Gym next. Normally the Psychic Gym is a nightmare, but this isn't a solo run, so at least we're not outnumbered. Plus, we're Dark type, so we have some super effective moves against them. They still do have good non-psychic type moves, so I'm not really expecting it to be a breeze, but it won't be too hard. Maybe a first try win, or a win after a short grind maybe. Maxi might be harder though. Dig is still our best answer for fire types unless we can evolve into Torpedo by then, and Mightyena can be pretty annoying with Sand Attack and Swagger. I don't know, I just kinda have a bad feeling about that fight. We'll find out in a moment though. First is Maxi, and his Mightyena puts up a pretty big fight. He was using super potions as I kept using Nightshade to take him down, but thanks to Swagger, I had to switch to Absol, but then he roared us into Cacturn. Then he hit a massive takedown, and our feint attack didn't do much, so we fainted on the next turn. I had to send in our own Mightyena to finish him off. Next is Crobat, and we traded shots for a while, but he was obviously much stronger, so Mightyena fainted, and it was up to a crit from Sableye to make him faint. Last is Camerupt, but we easily took him out with Shadow Ball. Alright, well thankfully the Psychic Gym was really easy, although it did take a little while. See, Xatu doesn't have any attacking moves that aren't Psychic type, so he can't hit us directly, so we just one by one ganged up and took out the rest of his team. But at the end of the fight, Xatu was using Confuse Ray on us, and we just kept hitting ourselves. I think it was 2 or 3 rounds of both of our Pokemon hitting themselves in a row, before we finally just hit a Shadow Ball for the knockout. Alright, we're in the home stretch before the Elite Four. Archie, the Water Gym, and Wally. Now you'd think this might go easy because we have a couple of grass types, but I'm not really sure. We don't have any good grass moves right now. I think that what I'll try is to level up Cacturn until early level 40s when he learns Needlearm, and I'll give the TM for Giga Drain to Shiftry, who doesn't learn any grass moves by level up anyway. I also want to go get the TM for Thunderbolt, although Absol is the only one who can learn it. He may be an amazing physical attacker, but he's still decent with special attacks, so I think it's going to be worth it. I'm not sure though, it wouldn't shock me if these fights go worse than I expected. I'm sure that Wally will be easy though, when is he not? First is Archie, but there was nothing special about this. It was pretty much like the last Maxi fight, but a bit easier since we're more prepared for it. We took him out with no problem on the first try. Alright, it's the Water Gym time, and this is a mess. First is Love Disc, who's easy. We just got to use Growth a couple times and then take him out with Needlearm. Second is Celio, who we just one-shot, but third is the only real threat, Kingdra. Now it hardly takes any damage from anything we do and spams Double Team, so after a bunch of failed tries, I decided the best thing I can do is use Mightyena and spam Sand Attack. We don't get all 6 in before we faint, but we got in as many as we could, then I had Cacturn go back to Leech Seed him. We almost fainted before it could happen, but once we seeded him, I started using Growth to get stronger, then kept using Feint Attack since it can't miss. Because all the dark moves are special in this game, Growth powered up Feint Attack and let us finally take him down, but we had some close calls. Second from last is Crawdaunt, who's a one-shot, and last is Whiscash, who's also just a one-shot. Next is Wally, and this was actually a huge battle. First is Altaria versus our Mightyena, and right away he was Dragon Dancing as we used Bite. We didn't really do much, but he wasted a turn with Safeguard, so we got an extra hit. For some reason, Altaria was going back and forth between Aerial Ace and Dragon Breath though, with Dragon Breath being a special move so it didn't get powered up by the Dragon Dance. We still fainted though, thanks to him healing back up. I had to send in Sableye to finish it off with 2 Shadow Balls, and we didn't even take that much damage in the process. After that is Delcatty, so I had Cacturn go for Needlearm, but we got put to sleep with Sing first. Thankfully, we woke up fast, and it's not like Delcatty was doing almost anything with Feint Attack, so we still took nearly no damage before she fainted. Roselia was next, so I had Absol take it out, easily, but we got hit by Toxic and Magical Leaf, so we lost a lot of health. Funny to see us do so much damage despite being a way lower level though. Absol just has tons of attack. He sent out Magneton next, so I had Sableye fight it, knowing that I'd need Nightshade, but we ended up getting crit by Thunderbolt, so we only got 1 hit in. I had to send in Dots to Brute Force it with Feint Attack and Giga Drain. We got confused early and hit ourselves a bit, and Thunderbolt was doing more than I expected, but at least Giga Drain gave us a tiny bit of healing. He full restored though, so we fainted, and I had to send in Cacturn to finish it off. Leech Seed and Needlearm did a pretty good job. Last is Gardevoir, and I thought that Absol could easily finish it off, but she was using Double Team, and we didn't do as much damage as I was expecting. We got some good hits in, but we missed our third bite and fainted to poison damage, so I had to have her Cacturn finish it off with Feint Attack. That's a move that doesn't miss though, so it's a great counter to Double Team. Now that we're at the Elite Four, let's take a look at our team. Well, our stats aren't horrible, and I've reworked the moveset a bit, but we are way too low of a level right now. Like, Sharpedo's only level 33, Sidney's entire team is nearly level 50, so I think it's safe to say that we're too under-leveled right now. I'm gonna get our new minimum level up to 45 before we start making attempts at the Elite Four, because anything less than that, and it wouldn't even be close. Make your final guesses on if we can win this or not. Let's do this. First is Dark Trainer Sidney. Right away is Mighty Enna Sand Attacks Dots, but we instantly crit a Brick Break to one-shot him, so we're off to a great start. Out to Absol to deal with his own Absol, but his is a higher level. Rock Slide hurt us quite a bit, we hurt him a bit, then he used Swords Dance. We took out a good chunk of his health, but he used a berry to heal back up to half before he took us out. I sent in Sableye to try and finish him off, but we took massive damage off Rock Slide, and then dropped him into range for him to heal with Nightshade. He easily finished us off after, so I sent in Cacturn, but we got one shot. This is awful. I sent in Mighty Enna to drop his attack a little bit, and finally he missed Rock Slide, as we started biting and using Dig. He used another Swords Dance and slashed us down a bunch when we got into red health before we fainted again. I had to send in Sharpedo to outspeed him and finish him off, but we only have 2 Pokemon. I switched to Dots as Cacturn came out, and used Growth a few times to power up, and then Feint Attack to see what would happen, but we flinched to a Needle Arm the first time. We did solid damage, so I switched to Giga Drain to get some health back. I'm sure I could have won with Brick Break, but I really wanted high special attack for later in the fight, so I kept Giga Draining until he fainted. Then he sent out Shift Tree, who was using Double Team, so I hit another Giga Drain to get more health back, then Feint Attack as I knew his evasion was going up. We hit ourselves in Confusion after Swagger, but we snapped out of it fast and just kept Feint Attacking and Giga Draining. After he got me with a second Swagger, we ended up taking him out with Feint Attack. Finally, he sent out Crawdaunt, but we were so hurt that I decided to just send in Sharpedo and Earthquake it. He was using Swords Dance, but we were fast and hit hard, so although we fainted to Facade, Dots was able to just hardly come in and finish it off when he full restored, and we used Giga Drain and Brick Break. Insanely close call. I should have used Brick Break earlier in the fight. I really didn't plan it out well. Second is Ghost Trainer Phoebe. First up is Dusclops, and I knew that it would be spamming Protect and waste our power points with the Pressure ability, so I used Confuse Ray on the first turn. After he used a second Protect, we hit him on the third turn for great damage, he confused us, then we confused him right back. We snapped out of it early though, and we took him out after only taking a bit of damage. Bayonet was nearly a one-shot, but she burned us right away and then healed up, so we have to worry about damage over time. And Shadow Ball is physical in this game, so we did a lot less damage on our second hit. Because of that, it wasn't a two-shot, and we ended up fainting and having to send in Mighty Enna to bite to finish it off. She sent in Sableye next, and used Double Team. We still hit a bite, but as soon as I saw how little damage it did, I knew that we had to switch before the double teams got out of control, so I sent in Dots to use Feint Attack. We took some decent damage, but we took her out in a few hits of Feint Attack. Next is her Dusclops, so I decided to send Mighty Enna in to drop her attacks since I figured that she might be using Earthquake. Bite once again didn't do great damage, and neither did her Ice Beam, so I just stuck with it and ended up scoring a flinch. We ended up getting frozen not long after though, so we fainted, and I had to finish it off with Sharpedo, who's much faster. Last is her Bayonet, but Crunch did amazing damage. We got one shot by Thunderbolt, then we finished it off with Dots after she healed. We almost fainted in the process, but we had more Pokemon still, so I'm sure we wouldn't have lost. Third is Ice Trainer Glacia. This fight is such a mess. This whole fight is pretty much just us throwing our best moves at them with very little strategy. None of our moves do very much damage, we constantly get frozen or paralyzed off Ice Beam and Body Slam, and anytime we get to Wall Rain, we get one shot and swept easily. The problem with this fight is that none of us hit all that hard right now. Her team is kinda tanky, and we're nearly 10 levels below her. Our team is actually really frail, so just about everyone can get two-shot by Glalie, or even one-shot if we're using a grass type. I think we're gonna need to bring the levels of our team up to at least 50 to stand a chance here. So I got up to level 50 and the Celios are much easier now, but we're still just so frail when it comes to the Glalie. Maybe it's because of the Pokemon I'm using, but they keep sending out the Glalies instead of the Walrein now, and we never get past them. It's unreal, they hit incredibly hard. Just like before, we're all just two-shots and one-shots for them. I didn't think this would be an easy fight, but I figured that we wouldn't have to pass their levels to win until we get to Drake, not Glacia. I guess I just have to keep leveling up. Level 55 now, and honestly, things are only slightly better. We're still usually slower and take crazy damage as a result. I was able to get to Walrein one time, and we actually took out every Glalie on the way. But we never landed a hit because Walrein is still faster and could still one-shot everything we had left. For as good as our type coverage is, our Pokemon are bad with a lot of the moves that they have. We have a team that's largely kind of slow and frail, a really bad combo. For as well as we did for a lot of the run, the team's weaknesses are really becoming obvious here. Alright, level 60 and Sharpedo is actually way more useful now. He was always good for taking out the first 2 Celios if he could get a special defense drop with Crunch, but now we don't even need the drop to do well. We take out the first 2 with half our health left, and for the first time we're even able to nearly take out the first Glalie. He full restored and we sent in dots, but we were easily able to 2-shot it with Brick Break, and after that is the big bad Walrein. I had Mightyena hit 3 sand attacks on it early before we started biting, and although we fainted fast, I sent in Cacturn who dodged Ice Beam thanks to the accuracy drops and took it out for the first time thanks to Needle Arm. Last is our final Glalie, who we easily 2-shot with Brick Break. We're finally done that brutal fight. Fourth is Dragon Trainer Drake. First up is Shelgon, and it's pretty harmless, so I just fight it with Mightyena and let it use full restore before it faints, just so that he has 1 less for later in the fight. Second is Altaria though, and I knew this thing would be dangerous, so I had Absol hit it right away. He started using a bunch of Dragon Dances, so I got a Swords Dance in and then took it out on the 3rd Dragon Dance. That way we got our attack boost and we never got hit in the process. Kingdra's next, so I stayed in to use Return while he was using Dragon Dance. We did amazing damage, and although Body Slam hurt us quite a bit, we still took him out fast. Flygon is next, so I went for Return, but we got outsped and taken out with Earthquake. Not wanting to risk losing Sharpedo yet, I sent in Mightyena to drop his attack and accuracy with Intimidate and Sand Attack before we nearly got one-shot by a critical Earthquake. Our bite did a bit of damage, but we fainted. Then I sent in Cacturn to Leech Seed him, but Flamethrower hurt us pretty badly. We fainted on the second one thanks to a crit, so I finally sent in Sharpedo and just hit an Ice Beam to make him faint since his health was already around half. Last is Salamence, but he was just a one-shot with Ice Beam. Not too bad. Finally, Pokemon Champion Wallace. First up is Wailord, and I knew it couldn't hurt us too badly, so I had Cacturn use Growth Twice. Wailord set up Rain, then missed Blizzard, and then we one-shot him with Needle Arm. Melodic was second, and I thought it would be a one-shot too, although it hit Psychic before we hit it, so there was some danger. It didn't end up being a one-shot, but thanks to a berry, it wasn't in full restore range, so we took huge damage off Ice Beam, and then we finished it off. As Tentacruel came out, it outsped us and hit Hydro Pump to finish off Cacturn, so I sent in Sableye to use Psychic. It did a decent chunk of damage, but Hydro Pump really hurt us. We ended up going down in 2 hits and had to send in Sharpedo. This is such a back-and-forth fight. Earthquake took it out. Ludicolo was next, so I had to Absol hit Aerial Ace, knowing that he can't double-team his way out of it. He tried, but obviously it didn't work and he fainted fast. Whiscash is next, so I just had Dots one-shot it with Giga Drain, and last is Water Onix, but this was not at all easy. This was only the halfway point of the fight. Mightyena was first, so I started dropping his accuracy as he was using Dragon Dance to get fast and strong. We dropped him by quite a few stages, causing him to miss Hyper Beams left and right. We actually fully wrecked his accuracy, but because he used so many Dragon Dances, anytime that he could actually hit, that would for sure be a feint. We kept using Bite, and eventually he had to full restore because we were doing so little damage that we can't bypass his healing range. After 2.5 entire minutes of biting him, he finally landed a hit to knock us out, but then Absol was able to tag in and finish him off. In the end, Sand Attack got us the win. With that victory, we get into the Hall of Fame and win the run, but you know it's not over yet. Gen 3 has a post-game fight with Steven Stone. Now, we obviously can't win that fight until we're somewhere close to him in level, and I'm also going to have to rework Sharpedo's moveset a little bit, since we can't even get to Steven if we don't have Surf and Waterfall. But really, there isn't much that I can do to get prepared for this fight. I'll get leftovers from the SS title and eat a boatload of rare candies to get close to them in level, but that's about all the prep work that I can do. I figure that I can win this eventually, but it's not going to be easy. Wish me luck. Alright, Steven Stone time. Right away, Skarmory badly poisoned Absol as we were hitting Thunderbolt. We were slower, so he got the first shot. He also set up spikes before he fainted, so we're going to take damage every time we switch. It's not really the best start. Out to Sharpedo to deal with his Armaldo, and Waterfall did fantastic damage, nearly making him faint. He hit Ancient Power for a huge chunk of damage before he used a full restore, then fainted to our Waterfalls. I don't think Surf would have made him faint, so I was hoping for a flinch off the waterfall. He's sending in Aggron, so I stayed in to outspeed him and hit Earthquake for that double type bonus. It did amazing, but it wasn't a one-shot, so we fainted and he full restored when I sent in Dots. Brick Break did amazing damage though, and we were faster, so 2 shots took him out. Clay Doll's next, so I sent in Sableye to Shadow Ball, but he used Reflect right away, so I confused him to buy some time, and then kept using Nightshade as he started hitting himself. He healed back up and eventually did a lot of damage with Earthquake, but we did take him down. After that is Metagross though, and it quickly took us out before we could do anything. I sent in Mightyena, but of course Clear Body means that Intimidate doesn't work. The problem is, even with flinches, our bites were doing almost nothing, and Metagross just starts sweeping our team easily one by one. At one point, we did get him down to a literal 1 pixel sliver for him to use a full restore, so he finished off Absol in the end. We were so insanely close to winning at that point. I'm gonna get a few more levels and then try the fight differently and just see what happens. Alright, we're level 80 now, and this start was amazing. First, Skarmory got fully paralyzed off the first Thunderbolt, so we never got hit by Toxic before we took it out. And second is Armaldo, who's a one-shot with Surf now. This is great. Not only that, but Aggron came out, he both missed his Thunder that normally brings us to red health, and wasted 2 full restores thanks to Earthquake dropping him to a sliver. That's 3 Pokemon down without taking any damage yet. Next is Credilli though, and it's a bit more dangerous. I thought I'd easily take it out with Cacturn, and we did awesome damage thanks to a crit, but after taking him to a sliver, he just full restored. We ended up fainting before we could take him out, so I had to send Shiftry in to finish it off with Brick Break. In retrospect, I should have sent him in first anyway. Out to Sableye to deal with his Clay Doll again, and this time he was just using Earthquake. We got a 2-shot, but we took a lot of damage in the process. Last is Metagross though, and I knew this would be awful. His first Meteor Mash against Mightyena boosted his attack, so although he missed one of his hits, he took us out fast. I sent in Dots after to try and finish him off, but he used a full restore. We weren't doing much damage, but we got him to just below half health as we fainted and sent in Sableye. Our Shadow Ball hurt him a little bit, he made us faint with his own, we sent in our last Pokemon, Absol, and Thunderbolt was just enough to take him out. It was very close, but we did get a win. That was a pretty fun run. I got to use a lot of Pokemon that I like, and although the team really started to lag behind by the Elite Four, they did pretty well through a good chunk of the run. I really hope you guys like that run. Next week's Pokemon Challenge should be up next week on Saturday like usual, with a really brutal one I've been putting off for 4 years, with Pokemon Platinum, with only 1 Shedinja. I have put this one off for several years because I thought it would probably be impossible. But if you've been watching the Pokemon Ultra Moon A Journey series on my channel, you know I came up with an idea that I think might actually work. And you know what? I've already played a few sessions of that Platinum Shedinja run. Oh man, it is insane. Hardest challenge I've done in years, and there are so many incredibly weird fights. My previous Shedinja runs weren't all that interesting. This one of the most interesting challenges I have ever done in my entire life. I cannot wait to edit that for you guys. As always, I'm looking at your suggestions in the comments in the challenge request section of my Discord channel and on Twitter. Subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned. Outro time. Man, I've been so busy. I've been streaming the Nuzlocke, I've been doing the Pokemon Ultra Moon, I've been recording that Shedinja run, which has been eating up a lot of time. My personal life has been very busy. Sabu just had his dental surgery the other day. It was the 17th of March that was on. So he's got that done. He's recovering really well and everything. Cost an arm and a leg, but I knew that it would. I'm just happy that there weren't any complications in the surgery. You know, they got rid of the gingivitis and everything on his gums. His teeth are okay. They didn't need to do any extractions or anything. So I'm just really happy that that went off without a hitch. And thank you everybody so much, by the way, for being so into the Nuzlocke that I'm doing. And like, you guys are really into the Ultra Moon playthrough as well. I thought it was really crazy that episode 1 of Ultra Moon, it got less than 1/3 as many views as the most recent Pokemon Challenge that came out before it. And despite getting less than 1/3 as many views as it got almost double as many comments, and everyone's just loving it, so thank you so much for that. But also, the first episode of the Nuzlocke that I'm doing got more views than my most recent Pokemon challenges did, which was insane because, like, obviously it was way less work to do the Nuzlocke stream. That said, I'm trying to rush through getting this video edited so I can get it up for you guys early so that I have time to do more Nuzlocke streams. I want to do more Nuzlocke streams. It's actually been really fun. And it's funny because when I tried doing some Nuzlocks in the long past, I started like a session of a Nuzlocke twice with my friend Hero They Call Me. I don't think this video is still online anywhere, but it was like a fully randomized Fire Red Nuzlocke from at least 10 years ago. We did 2 play sessions of it. It was kind of okay just because I'm hanging out with my friends, but I wasn't really super into it. And I think I've realized it's just because it's fully randomized. I don't really have a ton of fun doing fully randomized Pokemon. I did a bunch of playthroughs like that you've probably seen, they're in the description, with my friend Whatageek, where it's just fully randomized playthroughs, not Nuzlocks. And man, they get pretty tedious at some point. I had fun, because again, I'm hanging out with Whatageek. I always have fun hanging out with my friends. But man, I just don't like fully randomized runs. I think that's the problem, because now that I'm doing this Fire Red Nuzlocke, I'm having tons of fun with it. It's really funny that I started doing this now, because right after I started doing the Nuzlocke, Game Grumps started doing one in Fire Red as well, and then Deadlock, it's not the video game, the wrestling podcast. It's like the most famous wrestling podcast in the world, I think. I think it's the most listened to one in English, at least. Big fan of them. On their Patreon, they started doing a Fire Red Nuzlocke. I guess everyone's doing a Fire Red Nuzlocke now. I guess everyone's in a Fire Red mood because it came out on Switch recently, but the reason I'm doing Fire Red was I did a poll, I don't know, a couple months ago here on YouTube where I was asking like, hey, what should I do as my first Nuzlocke? And I just listed a bunch of games. And Platinum ended up winning that poll, but everyone in the comments said, hey, it's your first Nuzlocke, you should do Fire Red, it's a lot easier. And I decided, oh, that's a good idea. And then Fire Red came out, so like, it just coincidence, you know? That Fire Red just came out on the Switch, and then everyone's starting to do it all at once, so I don't know, weird coincidence. Anyway, $50 supporters over on Patreon and the YouTube members, and we actually have a new name on the list today. We've got Jacob Busby, Javid Kusaro, Grayson Fitz, Tara Luis, Alessandra Hedgeblog, Joel Mann, Dark Soul, Young Smoky VP, Cal Anderson, Crystal Sunrise, and the new Gabriel Thornton. Thank you everybody so much for your continued support. It's very much appreciated, especially for trying to afford the arm and a leg price that is the dental surgery of Sabu. I'm going to try my absolute best to get this thing edited as fast as I can, so it's up as early as possible for the early viewers on YouTube and on Patreon and, you know, the members and everything. And also, so that I have more time to do more of those Nuzlocke streams, because that's been really fun. Those streams have mostly been here on YouTube, on this very YouTube channel, and I upload them in the video section of this YouTube channel after. But in the future, I might do some of them on my Twitch, and I might even upload some of them over on my streaming YouTube channel, linked in the description. We'll see how things go. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.